Today we're making 6 adorable meringue treats for Easter. Hi there foodie friends, my name is Carly and welcome back to my channel, Adventures in Yum. For this video, I decided to make a huge batch of meringue so that I would have plenty for a bunch of fun things that we're making today. Make sure to check out my meringue recipe video, which is linked in the video description. Once the meringue achieves stiff peaks, I split the batter between many bowls and added my desired flavoring and colors. The meringues in this video include vanilla, raspberry, and strawberry flavors. Now that our meringue batter has achieved stiff peaks, again after adding the color and extract, we're ready to pipe. Remember to re-whip the meringue to stiff peaks before piping each color to get the best shapes. Don't forget to add a tiny little dot of meringue to the 4 corners of your baking sheet to help secure your parchment paper, because it will ensure that the paper doesn't slip around while you pipe your pretty shapes. First up, we're piping some adorable mini meringue peeps. To begin, we place our meringue batter into a piping bag fitted with a Wilton 12 tip. To make the bottom half, we hold the piping bag perpendicular to the surface, hold the tip right above the parchment paper, and apply pressure to the bag. As soon as the meringue starts to come out, we continue to apply pressure as we move the piping bag along the parchment paper. To make the tail, we stop applying pressure to the piping bag and pull up. Next, we hold the bag right above where we started the bottom half of the body, but this time we're piping upward to make the body shape. To finish and make the beak, we will stop applying pressure to the bag and then pull away at about a 90-degree angle from the body. This will definitely take some practice, but it's totally worth it to make some super cute meringue cookies. I of course had to make all of the classic Peeps colors for a super fun variety. Also, if you'd like a bigger Peep meringue cookie, closer to a regular Peep size, then use a Wilton 1A tip. And that's all there is to piping mini meringue Peeps. Second, we're making some meringue flowers. Using a piping bag fitted with a Wilton 12 tip and filled with yellow meringue, we're holding the bag perpendicular to the surface of the parchment paper on a flour nail and adding a little dollop. We then gently press the top of the meringue into some yellow nonpareil sprinkles. Next, using a piping bag fitted with a Wilton 352 tip and filled with pink meringue, we start at the base of the yellow center and continuously pipe as we move the bag up and down to create a roughly petal. Continue until there are petals all the way around the yellow center. Then we're piping another layer of petals on top of the first one, making sure to pipe these petals over 2 of the bottom petals to give the flowers a fuller look. I also decided to pipe some roses using a Wilton 103 tip and some purple meringue batter. For more detail on how to pipe these roses, check out my Valentine's Day meringue video. Lastly, for the flowers, we're piping a 5 or 6 petal flower. Using a piping bag fitted with a Wilton 103 tip and filled with purple meringue, we hold the piping bag so that it's almost parallel to the surface of our flower nail. We start to pipe and make a swoop motion to create a petal. As we finish the petal, we stop applying pressure and pull toward the center. Once we have 5 to 6 petals, we use the yellow meringue filled piping bag with the Wilton 12 tip to add a little dollop of yellow to the center. Aren't these flowers so cute? And that's how to pipe some really lovely meringue flowers. Third, we're piping some pretzel meringue bunny butts. Pretzels with meringue kisses piped on top seem to be a dessert trend this year, but for Easter, we're giving them a really cute twist: bunny butts. We add a little dollop of meringue to the parchment paper and place a mini pretzel twist on top like so. Using a piping bag fitted with a Wilton 1A tip and filled with white meringue, we're piping a somewhat large dollop on top of the pretzel. Then we slightly angle the piping bag and pipe 2 little dollops on the bottom parts of the pretzel. We stop piping and use the edge of the piping tip to scrape the meringue to make them a little flat, kind of like the bottom of a foot. We then use a Wilton tip 21 to add a little dollop of white meringue to the top of the large dollop. This is the bunny's tail. To finish these, we use a piping bag fitted with a Wilton tip 3 and filled with pink meringue to pipe 1 large pad toward the top of each foot, and then carefully pipe 4 little pink pads right below the large pad on each foot. And there we have our meringue bunny butts. Fourth, we're making some meringue nests. Using a piping bag fitted with a Wilton 233 grass tip and filled with brown meringue, we pipe a swirl of meringue and continue to build up the sides a little bit to get a nice nest shape. This one is super easy and so cute once we finish it after it bakes. Fifth, we're making Pocky meringue sticks. This one is really fun and easy. I decided to add all of my remaining meringue from this video's projects to a piece of plastic wrap or cling film, wrap it up like a sausage, and add it to a piping bag fitted with a Wilton 4B piping tip. We take our Pocky, I decided to use the chocolate covered ones, and press it up into the piping bag. Then we pipe continuously as we pull the Pocky out of the piping bag. You can move the piping bag up and down to create a roughly pattern, simply pull it straight out for a straight pattern, or continuously twist it to have a spiral pattern. Have fun with it. I love how the rainbow colors turned out on all of these. Last but certainly not least, we're making an Easter egg meringue wreath. Most of the assembly for this one actually happens after the meringue has been baked and cooled, but we need a base for our wreath, so we're using the white meringue batter and a Wilton 1A piping tip to pipe a large egg outline onto the parchment paper. I piped a few rings of the white meringue, and then I decided to add a line or two of pastel green leaves using the Wilton 352 leaf tip along the base of the white. This will help fill it in a little bit more when we assemble our wreath later. Once we've piped all of our meringue batter, we can add some things like sprinkles or edible glitter to the meringues before we bake them. I simply decided not to add anything like that this time. Then we're ready to bake these in a 195° Fahrenheit or about 91° Celsius oven for about 2.5 to 3 hours. Once the timer goes off, you can pull them out to cool on the counter, but I personally like to leave them in the oven for at least a few hours until the oven cools. However, I usually just leave them in there overnight. Before we check out what the meringues look like after they're baked, if you're getting value out of this video, then please make sure to hit that like button, click subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified about my latest video. Here's what our meringue items look like after they've been baked. And of course, we want to get a peek of that inside, so here's the inside of a few of them. They're so crunchy, but they also melt in your mouth. I've had some people tell me that meringues kind of remind them of cotton candy, but with a crunchy texture. For a simple but delicious upgrade to the bunny butts, we're melting dark chocolate melting wafers and dipping the pretzels into the chocolate. Once we shake off the excess and gently scrape the bottom on the side of the bowl, we set them on the parchment paper to let them completely set. These are so yummy. The meringue is crunchy and slightly sweet, the pretzel is salty and crunchy but in a different way, and then the chocolate adds a whole other layer of flavor and some creaminess as it melts in your mouth. For the nests, we can leave them plain, but I decided to dip the bottoms into the chocolate melting wafers. To finish the nest, we're dipping the bottom of a Cadbury egg into white vanilla melting wafers and placing it in the center of the nests. These are so cute and super easy to put together. I also dipped the bottoms of some of the Peeps into chocolate and the bottoms of some itty bitty rainbow pastel meringue kisses I made from the tiny bit of batter I had left into vanilla melting wafers. To assemble our wreath, we melt some vanilla melting wafers to act as our glue that will hold everything together. We simply start by adding a large pink flower and then add more of our flower meringues, as well as our meringue kisses and even our bunny butt meringues. Making meringue wreaths is all about placement, and it kind of feels like a creative puzzle to put everything together so that it has a great mix of colors and styles. I even added some of the rainbow meringues from my basic meringue cookie video. Once we're happy with our base, we can add some of our Peep meringues as well as Easter candy such as Cadbury eggs, robin eggs, and jelly beans to fill in those blank spots and add more dimension to the piece. Of course, I couldn't help myself, so I added edible glitter to the wreath as well. Once the candy melts have completely set, our beautiful Easter meringue wreath is complete. Which of the 6 meringue treats did you enjoy the most in this video? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you give some of these a try because they're so much fun. Let me know in the comments how you enjoy them. If you're interested in checking out some of the products I used in this video, then please make sure to check out that video description below for their Amazon links. Thank you so much for joining me today, foodie friends. I'll see you next time for another yummy adventure. Cheers! So crunchy is so good. Especially with that chocolate.